All right, good morning. So we are up to Siman Kuf Ayin Aleph. Shalei linhoig bizayin ba'ochlin, that you shouldn't be noiheg bizayin for ochlin, to behave in a sort of a disrespectful way when it comes to food. So interesting halacha. Says the Mechaber in Sif Aleph, Oise Adam tzrachav b'pas. La halacha, you are allowed to use bread, and we'll see other food as well, for your own convenience. So for example, you've got a challah roll, and you want to prop up your bencher against it, so you're allowed to. Oise Adam tzrachav b'pas. So long as that it's not moist, that it doesn't make the food disgusting, but not something which is going to be disgusting. Therefore, you can't put raw meat on top of the bread. Nor can you pass over a full cup over the bread, because you're worried it's going to spill and it will make the bread mos. And you can't pass over like a tray of food. That if it's things fall from that bowl, it will make the bread disgusting. So you've got to avoid making bread disgusting. Let's just do the Mishnah Berurah on that. Sif Cotton Aleph, Tzrachav, Ratzolema, Tzarech Tashmishov. You can use food and bread for your own purposes if you want. Or so long as it doesn't make the food disgusting. But pas for kolsh came b'shar ochlin, and so to other foods as well. A pas is considered always the mainstay of the meal. So if you can use pas, it's considered then certainly you can use other things as well. Avul midi demois, but things which are disgusting, not if it's going to become disgusting. And even other foods, not only bread. You can't sort of just treat them in a very disgusting way. Low. If however you do it for medical purposes, shari, then that would be okay. But even if it becomes disgusting. Even without refuah. If it's something which is tzarech ha'adam, and the olim use it in this way, that would be okay. And therefore, you're allowed to sprinkle some wine on the ground to sort of make it a nice smell, or to flatten the dust or something, or to anoint yourself with food items, yain or shemen or whatever it is. That would be allowed. Also, little yod of b'mayim hayetzim. You can't squeeze grapes to extract liquids to wash your hands with them, because they're very strong and it gets rid of any dirt. Because you're making the dates, the zaysim, the olives themselves, disgusting. And moreover, you've also got the wanton destruction of olives. Not a full kais. Don't hand over a full glass over the bread, because you might make the bread disgusting. It's very likely that the liquid will spill. Imhi sivkot involved. Vimkein mitamanal kolshkenim akar betachtiso enenoki v'ma'is and certainly, if the plate is not clean, or the place where you're putting the bread, you shouldn't put even the bread in a place which is dirty. If the tray is not full of food, then you can pass it over, no problem. You're not handing over a tray of a tray of schnitzels on Shabbos over the challah thing. That's not a problem, because we're not worried it's going to fall. That would be okay. Clean, you can use it to cover a kli, etc., etc. Okay, back to the Mechaber. 3 lines down. You're not allowed to do netilas yadayim with wine. Bein chai or bein mozog, whether it's concentrated or diluted. Even a netila which is not l'tzarech achila, you can't do. You mustn't throw bread because of a bizayin. It's a bizayin of eichlin. So too, you can't throw other foods where if you throw them, the foods will become disgusting, like a soft fruit or something like that. Avol midi delomois, but things which do not get disgusting, nuts and pomegranates and these chabushim, these type of vegetables, shari, that would be okay. Says the Mishnah Berurah, ches she'en tzarech achila, te'ilu b'netila lachila. When you're squeezing it, so you're using this liquid for netila, for eating, belav hachi also, then you've got a separate problem. aside from the fact that the stuff that the actual bread, it's a bizarre for the food, but just to wash your hands with wine and juice and things like that, there's a separate problem. According to Kama Poskim, you've got to use water, not other liquids. And so too with other waters it will be also. If you take a look at number 6, he basically says, he quotes the summary of the Be'alacha, who says that you should, if you haven't got water, you should not use wine to do netilas yadayim. But if you've got nothing else and you've got some orange juice, then lemaisa you can wash netilas yadayim even with orange juice b'shas hatchak. Ve'ein zarkin b'pas siv cotton tes or mavur b'beis Yosef or shari poiskim the pas chashiva tfei misha acholin. You can actually. Pas is considered more choshev than other foods. And that even if bread is not going to become disgusting by throwing it, you take a roll, you take a slice of bread, it won't become disgusting. You should not throw bread. Bread is kagon shezarka al gabig mokim noki. The zilzul hula pas. It's considered the zilzul for pas to throw it and to treat it in that sort of way. Okay, and we spoke about this once before. We spoke about it. Okay, hanimosim al zrika kagon. But in any event, you can't throw food which is going to become disgusting. And they're fully ripe. Shem rakim, they're soft. And they'll get squashed and they'll get soiled if you throw them. However, if it's food which does not get solid and soiled, throwing it to a clean place, that would be okay. If you see food lying on the ground, you should pick it up. There's a Gemara says there's a problem of kshofim, kikar sholem, etc. If there is such a chashash. Issa b'Gemara, the Rav Huna soive Michael Adam ein machilin oisel behema. Michael Adam, that human food you should not give to animals. V'hu adin la'ofes or birds. Omnon beli Rabbi mistapikim halach Rav Huna. B'zeh he's misupik whether or not the halach is like that. V'ayim machas hashekel shemisadim ein ledova achil achil ki machal adam. If there's no other foods other than human food, then l'kula alma mutza it will be okay. V'efshad mishum zeh nagin la'olam laheta lahachil la'ofes pas. That's why perhaps we have a minhag, or the olam is the olam and noyeg to actually give bread and whatever.
You give moldy.
Yeah, so if it's let's take a look at number 11. I think it is 11. Yeah, ubizmanenu. This is just talking about when you see some food on the floor. It says in ubizmanenu she'ein derech bnei adam le'achol pas she'hoises ruk al aretz. If you see a slice of bread on the ground, you're walking in the street and you see a bit of food on the ground, no one's going to eat it. So it says das hagon Yashav. You're not mechuyev to pick it up. Because people don't eat these things. It's not considered passing by food. So that's a very interesting halacha. In other words, you're walking in the street and you see some food on the ground. It seems to see, according to halacha, that you're not allowed to pass it by. You've got to pick it up. It's a bizarre for eichlim. But that's only food that could be eaten. If it's for example a slice of bread or something which is nimas,
if it's on the floor,
would you eat it? The gedder is would you eat it?
My father always used to go mad at that.
Right. I know, and I'm familiar with Anias is kosher, Anias, etc. Right. So, but according to this, it seems to be that only if it's royal achila. If it's not royal achila, Rabbi Yashav says it's not we're not particularly worried about it. Yeah. Okay. Okay, let's just finish off. The rest of the sim is quite quick. Halacha base. Lo yeshiv adam kupa melea te'enim of a grogres, aval yeshiv hu ala igel shel develo al kupa melea kidneys. Are you allowed to sit on some food? So if a person should not sit on a box which is full of te'enim and grogoris and these sort of fruits, but if it's hard fruit, then you are allowed to. So it says Mishnah Berurah, you've got in your base. Dafka bekupa shel netzarim she'nichbepes. Well, what can't you sit on? A wicker basket or something like that, where you're going to squash all the food. Mismachinum v'nimosin, they'll become disgusting. Avol shel eitz, sorry, but if it's a wooden crate or something like that, to sit on that and it happens to have food inside it, there's no inherent problem with that. So you're allowed to sit on a box, a crate, which has got food inside it, so long as the food is not going to get soiled. Shel devela, shem kashim ve'enim mismachim, because you can sit on the devela because they're hard and therefore they're not going to get squashed. Kidneys, again, it's beans and things like that. Even if they're made out of wicker baskets or like a bag material or something like that, hakidneys be'azvan kashim heim, and therefore there's no problem to sit on that. Okay, good to know. Gimel, mutelechol daisa, you're allowed to eat porridge, pirush hachita nichles muvushelis, is like an oatmeal, a porridge or something like that, but pas b'mochem kaf. In other words, you can take the piece of bread and you can use that as a spoon. You take the bread and you sort of scoop up some of the porridge and eat it like that. That's not considered a bizoyin. But make sure you eat the bread afterwards. What people do is, if they're using, they haven't got a spoon, or they like the taste of it together, they would use the bread, scoop it up, and then eat that bit of bread with that mouthful. And then the rest of it, they can eat it. They'll eat the bread later. Gimel, Sivkot and Tesvov, B'mokim Kaf, Mishum Da'isa Adam Sarchav Lepas, Heichad Nimas. So we said, like we said above, this is just an application of the above. You're allowed to use food for your own benefit. So if I want to sort of rest my bench against the roll, the challah roll, that's okay. If I want to use the challah roll to scoop up my porridge, also okay. And this guy is not repelled by it. On the contrary, he wants to use his bread to eat the porridge. So long as he eats it, because no one else is going to want to eat from that piece of bread. Not to use bread, maisa eitz ba'ochlin, to bizuyhu lochein oichlin b'chol pam ad min apas v'nira ku'ilu ba lelafes apas. So those who are very medaktik, they'll say just eat a bit of the bread with it, and that way you're eating it. That's just how you eat it. You're lelafes. You're accompanying the bread with the porridge. So if you're medaktik, you can either just eat it and just eat the porridge bit, or then if you're medaktik, you eat the bread with it. Because for other people it'll be disgusting to eat that. Okay, Dalet and Hey. Dalet. Interesting. The Gemara says they would juggle with full glasses of wine in front of the Chosin V'Kala, and that's not considered a bizoyin for Eichel. So long as you catch it. If you don't catch it and the wine's going to go all over the place, then that is a bizayin. You're allowed to throw nuts and things like that. In the minute would be throw kernels of grain sometimes at the Chosin Kala, but don't only do it in the summer months, because in the winter the floor is muddy and wet and they'll become nimos. But you never throw rolls of bread and pieces of bread, only the kernels of grain and nuts and things like that. It says in the Mishnah Berurah, Sivkot Yutes, Mamshichin Yain B'Tzinor, She'usin B'Shum Siman Tov. It's a good sign. Because their happiness and their serenity will continue for the Chosin and Kala. We're talking about a wooden or whatever it may be that it's not going to become disgusting. You got to make sure he catches it. If you look at 16, very interesting. What about wine on Havdalah? That a little wine should spill out. So it says, because of the Ramah, come on in Simon Reish Tzadivov, Shenagin Nishbech Mikoshel Yain Al Haaretz Kodim Shesim HaMevarech B'Bragoven, because by the time you pick it up, you should fill it to the top. You don't have to mamish be overflowing. Yeah, you just fill it mamish to the top, and then when you pick it up, it will naturally spill. Shekol Bayish Nishbach B'Yain Kamaim Ein B'Simen Bracha. It's a Simen Bracha. For Oisim Kain is Simen Toiv Hascholas Hashvu. It's a good sign at the beginning of the week. For Hoisif Shenagim Kain Nishbech Men Hayain Shebekos Acha Havdalah Mechaben Zaneh. The minhag is you use it to put out the candle, and then you take a little bit and you put it on your eyes, into your pockets, whatever. Mishum Chil Mitzvah. Because Mishnah Berurah Sham B'Shem Achreinim Shelo Yishmech B'Shas Bracha Klal. Don't spill at the time of the bracha. Elarak B'Shas Shemoizeg Es Hayain. When you're pouring the glass, that's when you spill it, but not when you're actually making the bracha. Okay, fine. I remember the Dayan once told me when it comes to making kiddush, it doesn't have to be mamish to the top. He says al kos yain moli. He says to me, I remember once pouring him the wine when he was making kiddush, and he said to me, he said, okay, that's enough. I said, but it says al kos yain moli. So he says, yeah, tell me, when you drink your tea, you mamish do it to the top. Yeah, you do it, like you make your cup of tea. That's how you do kiddush. He told me, Rav Shlomo Zalman told him the same thing. That's where Rav Shlomo Zalman, that's where he got it from. He was pouring Rav Shlomo Zalman, and that's how he did it.
Well, I heard also that I normally pour out the berach, I pour it over, I let it
You let it fill, yeah, right. That's what he's saying. So when you pour into the Havdalah case, you pour very full, and either spill it over, or that as soon as you take it, it spills out. Yeah. Okay. Shenim Asid Chaf Aleph. Va'af al pi she'egoiz and yesh lem klipa ve'eno eichel she'basoichen nimos mikol makom b'mos ha'geshamim. If you throw, nuts and pistachios and whatever in muddy ground, yesh refes v'tit and mislach l'nsham nimosin like beer. No one's going to take it up. Ve'ikah hefsed ochlin, you're just wasting food. Yesh mekoim she'henichu henigu kayom nizrek simukim lifnei ha'chasen b'Shabbos. They throw raisins in front of the chasen shlifnei chasnosei b'shah she'kernos elamafte v'lo yafein oisin, says Mishmur. It's not a good idea. Why? She'rakin in, they're very soft. And then they'll get spoiled. Yeah, they get into the carpet as well. Exactly. Okay, let's just finish. Hey, hazarkim chitin lifnei chasonim. When you throw grain in front of chasonim, tzorich lizoy shel izruku ella b'makom noki. Throw it in a clean place. V'gam yechabdu oisam misham kadesh lidju aleim. Exactly what you just said, Chaim. They make sure that you clean it up, that it's not trodden into the ground. Siv kotzen chavkim b'makom noki kadesh lo yelech leibud. It shouldn't go to waste. V'gam yechabdu the ilav hachi ein toelis mashi izrak b'makom noki. Then it's not. You got to throw it to a clean place, and if it's going to get lost and trodden in, then it's going to spoil the whole effect. Okay, Kol Tov. We'll leave it there.